Hello, my name's Rob and welcome to Swift Slots and welcome back to part 2 of my RevoSlot McLaren GTR build in Marlborough livery. And if you've seen part 1, you'll notice that that's a bit of a problem because RevoSlot, in their wisdom, decided to announce their Marlborough version of this car just the other week, about 2 weeks after I started painting mine. I guess it was inevitable, really. It's a fantastic livery and it's a legitimate livery on this car, and it was probably only a matter of time, and I should really have thought it through. But it doesn't matter. Here we are. So they're doing car number 2 and number 6, and I had a problem with the colour of the sun visor on my car. I didn't want to do it yellow. I didn't want to do it red because the little end pieces on the original car, that's the colours of those. And I wanted to do something a little bit different, and I didn't really know what to do particularly. So with them doing those two cars and me actually doing car number 7, because 7 fits where I need it on the car to go, because I need to chop down the 7 to make it fit, because these decals don't actually fit where I want it to fit, and they're a bit big, but 7 will actually chop down. So my car is actually going to be 7 and always was 7. But with RevoSlot doing the yellow and the red sun visor versions, car 2 and 6, that actually helps me out quite a bit. So my little bits of sun visor, the end pieces, are going to be blue because I like blue. So mine's going to be a little bit different from RevoSlot's, and it's still not a waste of time to do it. It's still a lovely looking car and I'm still enjoying the process. So let's crack on. Let's get all the decals on this car. Let's get a clear coat on it and then run it around the track and turn my RevoSlot GTR into car number 7 with blue bits on the sun visor. Okay, I'm just about to put down some 2K clear. This particular system is by Profix and it's 50% hardener with 10% thinners, and you really must use a very high quality mask when you're laying down 2K because it's extremely poisonous. So between my really good mask and my really powerful spray booth, I'm okay for occasional use, but if you put this stuff down regularly, you really do need a full respirator that's fresh air feed and all the rest of it. But whenever you do 2K, be very careful, read all the safety precautions and make sure you do it in a vented, at least a very well ventilated area. Okay, so that's the whole body completely finished, and we're now ready for final assembly. So there's quite a lot of parts in this kit, and I thought it'd be useful to lay them all out like this to show you where they all go, because some of them aren't all that obvious. Now we'll start at the front. This front grille goes into the front bumper here, behind those 4 little posts, and you have to make sure that you put the recess facing the bottom of the car, because that recess is there to clear the tab for your front towing eye, which goes in just like that with a little recess pointing downhill, and then you have your little towing eye at the front. So that's that one. So the front headlights are obvious, and the front covers are obvious, and the windscreen wiper is obvious, but these indicators stroke marker lights are not all that obvious. So the actual lens is at an angle, and it matches the angle of this bonnet. But what you need to do is you need to put these lights in from the inside, and they need to go uphill, because the bonnet is going uphill from the lights backwards. So they go in from the back, and then the angle of the lens matches the angle of the bonnet, and the back of the lens matches the opposite angle underneath the bonnet there. You'll see if you get one, fiddle around, you'll understand how that clips in. So these on the side aren't all that obvious either. Now this large grille goes on the side of the body there, it'll be the right hand side according to the driver, and that will need to be glued in, and then it fits onto the side like that. And then there's a small grille that matches that one on the opposite side, and that goes here again, matching the angle for the angle. Now on the back of the car you have this large grille here, which is pretty obvious where this one goes. It goes in just there like that, and then drops over those little melt posts, and that fits in there. Then you've got the next 2, which aren't necessarily all that obvious, and they actually go in the back here on those 2 posts just there like that. You have one this side and one this side, and all they do is they cover up these slots here. So that's those ones. Then you have the light clusters on the rear. So the orange, and I've pre-painted the backs of these orange, the orange goes on the outside, and all you do is you paint the back of the lens, and up against the body colour they actually match up quite well. So there you go. So it's orange, red, red, orange, or orange, clear, clear, orange actually, because if you've got a red car it shines through red anyway. Obviously if you're painting a different colour then it won't show through, you'll have to paint them same as I've done the orange. And then once you've got your lenses in, this rear fascia panel goes on, and there's a little bit of detail in this bottom corner, and that goes on the right hand side according to the driver position. And then once you've got that in, this grille, these tabs, these long tabs, they fold up and then they go down on either side of that fascia as well. Now I'm not actually sure, you may need to fit the fascia, no, I think you can get that fascia on and then put the grille on afterwards. But note there's a logo there and there's a logo here, so they actually go that way. So the large logo, the large white logo, goes just like that on the right hand side according to the driver. So that's your 2 rear grilles taken care of. And then you've got a whole series of grilles down here, and they all go in the back of the car as well. So this long one here with the 3 holes drops in the middle position there, and then you've got your melts down on there. And then these weird shaped ones, they actually go either side of that, just in there like that. And there's the little wing, the little small wing goes into the middle, and the larger piece goes to the outside of the car just like that. So that's all those taken care of. And then obviously your rear exhaust goes in, just lines up with all the little tabs, and it just pops in and pokes through the back there. That's very easy. So the other thing that I've got done here is I've painted up the driver figure, as you saw on the video. I didn't bother showing you painting the gloves because it's just painting the gloves, and I've also painted the steering wheel, a little bit of silver in the middle there. And all I've done here, I like to put on real seat belts because it's just easier. And what I do for my rear seat belts is I get a little bit of this vinyl that they use for sign writing, and I just cut a 1mm strip down with a scalpel, and I drill 4 1mm holes, and I thread it through, loop it around the other side, and put a bit of super glue on the other side, and that gives a really nice 3-dimensional seat belt. So here is the driver figure's head that I've done a little bit of extra work on. So I got a little bit of extra colour going around there. It's very, very basic, but it does the job and it looks a lot better. So obviously his head goes on there like that, and obviously the aerial goes in the roof. So that's all the parts. Now I've got to put them in the car. So we're going to go fast forward. I'm going to get all this stuff into the car. No, stop, correction. I forgot to tell you what this tool is for. Now I made this tool quickly. It's just a bit of hardwood, bit of wooden handle, and then that's just a 4mm brass rod, and it goes all the way into the handle about down to here. And what I'm going to do with this is with my blowtorch, I'm going to heat the end of this brass rod, and I'm going to use that to melt the melts on these components when I put them into the car. So I'll heat the end up and I'll melt it using this, and I can control the heat very nicely with my little blowtorch. So that's what I'm going to do, because I normally use super glue, but sometimes super glue can be a bit messy, and I thought I'd try the old melt method, seeing as the car's made for it. So this simple tool, you could even use a screwdriver and just, a knackered old screwdriver, just chop the end off, make it nice and flat, heat it up with the blowtorch. Like I said, I was going to try and use a candle, but the candle was a bit of a dirty flame and it was sooting up the end of this bar, and it wasn't really getting it hot enough, believe it or not. So a little mini blowtorch, you could use a large blowtorch just with the flame just weeping out very, very gently, just to get a bit of heat on your probe, and then you simply just heat it up and then push it in to your posts, and there you go. You just got to make sure you don't get the tip too hot, otherwise you'll melt your post all the way through the outside of your body, which wouldn't be very good at all. Right, okay, let's crack on. Let's get all these parts into this body. And there's the body, all finished, all put back together again. And I actually reinforced the interior with a little bit of silver foil tape as well. And I also put on this felt to try and help damp down the drumming potentially on this interior. Now the only thing that I would suggest when you're putting this body together is to be very careful of these back lights. I made a little bit of a boo-boo with mine. I would put that back black panel in first and then put the lights in on top of that. I did it the other way around and I struggled a little bit in this corner. I think it'll be okay though. Right, so the last job is to fit the guides to the chassis and fit the body onto the chassis. But just before I fit the body onto the chassis, I need to fit these rubber feet like this, because that controls your ride height. They need to go on nice and evenly all the way around. In this particular case it's black all the way around, but some of these cars have different colours to adjust the body different heights, but this is black, so they go on. Right, with that done, let's get the guide on and then we can go and hit the track. And there we are. That brings me to the end of my second RevoSlot white kit build. And I must say, I'm extremely impressed with the quality of these cars. Now, the thing is with a white kit, you actually build it from the ground up. So you really get to know the car intimately well. And if there's any problems with the car, you absolutely find them when you're building a white kit. And there are no problems with this RevoSlot kit or the Alpha that I did before. They are really, really nice cars to build and really nice cars to drive. So on the topic of driving, how does this car drive? I had no idea. This is only my second RevoSlot car that I've owned, and I've only got the Alpha to go on. But this car is a dream to drive. Now, this is the chassis that I put those NSR gears into. But I have had experience of the RevoSlot gears on my Alpha, but this one's got the NSR gears, so I park the gears side of it. But apart from the gears, this car drives really, really well, and it's so utterly stable and so predictable. So in terms of how well does it drive, you want to know the track time. Well, as you know, 55 seconds on Crow Valley is okay. 50 seconds is pretty good. And anything below 50 seconds is where you want to be for a racing car. Now, I only took this car around the track 3 times. One as a sighting lap, just to get a feel for it. And then one as a kind of half effort to see how much harder I'd need to push to get a good time. And then the third lap. And the third lap got me this. Now that is an amazing time for just my third attempt. I'm sure that you'll agree. And it was easy to get that time. I honestly didn't think that it was that fast. It went round the track, sure-footed and competent, yes, but I didn't think it was fast. Look down at the time and there you are, mid 48. You cannot argue with that time. I'm very, very pleased with it. Now, on the subject of livery, I'm still very, very pleased with my car, and I'm very pleased that I did the Marlboro livery, and it's a really striking livery. It looks fantastic going around the track. However, it does give me the opportunity now to do the Marlboro livery again, but in the teal and satin black. So I would really like to do that, and I would really like to put it on the RevoSlot Ferrari F40. Now, I think it would suit that car really well. Plus, if I did the RevoSlot F40, I could then compare the RevoSlot F40 to my old Scalextrics F40 that I did a few videos back. I think that might be a reasonably interesting comparison. So let me know in the comments if you think I should buy the RevoSlot F40, paint it into the Marlboro black and teal colours, and compare it against the old 35-year-old Scalextrics F40. Now, I think the Scalextrics one will hold its own reasonably well, and I can always push it a little bit harder. But it'd be interesting to put them side by side and see what they go like. So that's maybe for a future project. So like I say, I really enjoyed building this car, and the quality of the RevoSlot parts is sublime. So I will be doing more in the future, and if you like this sort of content, maybe you'll subscribe. And if you could hit the little bell button, that would be awesome. So until the next time, thank you very much.